Hi, I'm Arthur. It's been far too long since I've last discussed the space dwarves, so let's fix that, shall we? My love for the Leagues of Votann is very well known. They are one of my favorite, if not my favorite faction in the entirety of 40k at the moment. I just think they deserve more love is all. At least more than what they get right now, which is none at all. There's a lot of interesting new lore to them that I feel deserves to be expanded upon for people like me who wanted to know more, but no one was making videos about them. So, with the leagues, you have them all grouped together in numerous different categories. Leagues being the largest name for them, and thus where they get their name. Leagues are basically a collective of kin who are divided into various different bands. These bands can be dedicated to a singular task, and they're usually held up in small bases known as holds. Holds have a very loose definition, usually just meaning a place where numerous kin, meaning dwarves and the iron kin, dwell. So a league is just a grouping of different holds that contain kin. They all have the same mentality is also another important part about them, and they all belong to the same set of Votannic cores. You might think that all the leagues have very similar attributes, and they do, but in general, there are a lot of differences between each individual league that you wouldn't notice upon first glance. For the ideals of each league can pretty easily be identified by the markings on their armor, if you can speak dwarf, which you probably can't. Now in short form, if they look like this, you should probably leave them alone. If they look like this, you should run the other way. So I'm going to do a breakdown of all the different leagues for the Leagues of Votann and give an explanation as to their deal. Though I should note I'm only covering the major ones that are given actual lore in the codex, and not like the ones that are mentioned in passing in like a single entry, because it's usually just, oh, and then they got eaten by Tyranids. I'll probably do an update for this video at some point once we know more, but for now, Part 1, the Greater Tyrian League. Yeah, the Greater Tyrian League is essentially the Ultramarines of the Leagues of Votann. They are the dudes in the blue and white armor you see on the majority, if not all, of the boxes for the miniatures themselves. And for good reason, too. They are, I believe, considered to be one of, if not the largest of all the leagues in the setting. They are also considered to be one of the oldest, being stemmed from the original expeditions of humans that founded these abhumans long ago. To describe them in as simple a set of terms as possible, it's measured ambition. They are incredibly driven to expand their reach and resources, and it translates into their playstyle on the tabletop being more about the core mechanics of the army rather than any extreme skew to any direction of violence or mobility. I'd say they are the balanced league, but they do have more of a focus on the exploration and finding new claims to strip mines for their holds and leagues so they can survive another day, though more so on the expansionist way of claiming more territory than just resource gathering. They are essentially the poster child of everything GW wants us to see for the Leagues of Votann. They are dwarfy, they are perfect for what they need to do, and also they do work with the Imperium from time to time as mercenaries, which is kind of cool. One more interesting side note about them, they are currently in possession of the only named and playable character. No, I'm not counting the named Collector's Edition characters, which is Uther the Destined. He's basically the chosen one of all dwarves. At birth was given a legendary sword created by the fabricator machines. He is known to be one of the most talented tacticians in the entire setting, and had some pretty fun abilities in 9th edition. I just wish the other factions got at least one character, so that's the Greater Tyrian League. Pretty cool. I do wish that the other factions got characters as well. Part 2, the Cronis Hegemony. So, of all the kin, these are the ones you don't want to encounter ever. With the Greater Tyrian League, you can meet a kin from one of their holds, and they will likely greet you in a friendly enough manner. The Cronis Hegemony is a league filled with nothing but hate and malice to sustain it. See, a league's main goal is the acquisition of resources. For the Cronis Hegemony, they tend to get their resources from people rather than from the ground and planets they find. What do I mean? They prefer to rob, steal, and reconvert old materials into new. I should note their definition of rob and steal is more like wage a solar system-sized war to claim the resources of whatsoever society exists in said solar system, but I digress. They're basically Tyranids if Tyranids could actually communicate to other races. Though to be fair, they do operate on a reasonable level. Like, if you give them no reason to hate you, they won't really try to fight you, though that's not saying they won't try to find a reason to. So yeah, they will take any individual slight of any kind and turn it into a full-on grudge. This league fields the most grudge bans, which, if you don't know what those are, grudge bans are when individual smaller groups of kin begin to manifest a rage-based PTSD towards an individual group that has wronged them. The kin band will dedicate most of their life trying to snuff out the individuals who slighted them. So yeah, usually it's a pretty broad level grudge they have, so they tend to focus on entire species depending on its severity. Violent and warlike, though they've also kind of weaponized racism. Part 3. The TransHyperian Alliance. These guys are interesting. Essentially, the Leagues of Votann operate as a bit of a secular cult. What that means is they worship their Votann and have rituals needed to keep them enriched and alive, but it's not so much a theistic religion. They don't see the cores as gods, and they don't think there's any kind of magic to it. They just have a deeply ingrained sense of cultural identity. So, the thing to know about the TransHyperian Alliance is that they are considered the zealots of this specific cult, where they view the decrees and beliefs of the Votann as top priority. So with that in mind, their main shtick as a group of dwarves doing dwarf things is that they have to travel the stars to gain new knowledge no matter what. They are the most traveled of all the leagues, as they often send out small exploratory forces in order to find new resources and new information to enrich the Votannic cores, basically going out as far away from the galactic core as humanly possible. For this reason, they have what are considered the most efficient and violently successful Hernkin pioneers, which is the kin dedicated to leaving the safety of their hold and going to scout for more information. Relatively safe to meet, though do not impede their work or they will gun you down pretty quickly. Part 4. The Urani-surtr Regulates. These guys are a bit odd even for the kin. Though they are the most stereotypically dwarfy, they are the most resilient of all the leagues and prize their ability to weather any and all storms no matter the cost. They are staunch survivalists and are very well known for their level-headed stoicism, which I suppose comes to a bit of a detriment to their overall sense of, happiness, because it's stated in the only book there is about the leagues. Sorry, that's just always there in the back of my head. But yeah, it's stated in the codex that the league itself is dedicated to not wasting any resources whatsoever. So because of that, they often subsist on the minimum a kin needs to survive, which is all good and fun for the survival of the whole, but man, sometimes a lad just wants to have a full fucking steak dinner and walk away from the meal a little over full. It does sound a little bit less fun than the other kin bands, but like, it is pretty fun to think about how they use their resources. Speaking of, they tend to have higher levels of resource capturing equipment, such as the mining conversion beams and ion blasters, and the like, because all resources are precious to them and whatnot. Final thoughts. It says in the book they are called the URSR, but like, it's the Urani-surtr Regulates, so wouldn't that be like USR? I mean, why the R? It's not like, oh, fuck, I get it now. Part 5. The Ymir Conglomerate. The last one, and probably my favorite of all the 5 major leagues. This one is all about a very simple concept, and that concept, make it better. The thing with the Leagues of Votann is that they prize reliability above all else, so because of that, they tend to make their weapons without too much flair or ostentation, but with a high degree of predictability and replicable craftsmanship. Like, for example, a Votann bolter is going to not be as good as a high-end bolt gun for the Imperium, but they are on average going to be better than the average bolt gun that the Imperium produces. Contrary to that, the Ymir Conglomerate specializes in making the best shit. They are a league dedicated to making the highest craftsmanship weapons and gear a faction can have, having the best artisans and the best craftsmanship of all the other leagues. They tend to have an excess of the good shit trademark. Like, the Einer Hearthguard exo armors and the like. It's pretty neat, and I'm a big fan of the elite-based armies, so do with that what you will. You could probably run an entire Ymir conglomerate army. Other than that, there isn't much to know about them. Or else there isn't much to know about them at all. As I've mentioned, this is all from one fucking codex. That was the 5 major groups of leagues from the Leagues of Votan. They all have their own unique beliefs and personalities, but it is unfortunate that we are not going to get many books from them in the future, I think. It's so weird. Leagues of Votan are just this weird vestigial leg that exists in 40k, where they are there, like they have a section of the universe that they occupy, and they are a part of the lore, but there is nothing to them yet. They have no major interactions with any other person in the lore, except for maybe that one time they had a minor war with the World Eaters and I think the Purge and maybe a few other Coronate warbands, but it's been almost a year and we still don't have fucking anything for them. That being said, I'm still going to try to remain positive for the sake of my own sanity. It can't be forever until they release another book, or release a book. If Aaron Dembski-Bowden does a dwarf book, I'm gonna pop off like it's no one's business, I will say that though. There are a bunch of minor leagues, but in general, they have almost nothing to them aside from like 2. One was eaten by Tyranids and is responsible for the Mad Core's existence, which the Mad Core is pretty cool. And the other was a league turned into an entire grudge band who does nothing but kill greenskins because the greenskins killed a lot of them. Other than that, the other half dozen or so that exist have like one sentence to them that can best be summed up as, "Oh, this one likes dogs a little." So there's no real point to really bring it up because there's nothing really to glean from it. So which one is your favorite? I have my favorite, which is the Ymir Conglomerate, but I also have my own that I made myself for my own miniatures, which is the Ratatasker Mining Corporation. Yeah, it's cringe, I don't give a shit. Let me know in the comments what's your favorite, and alongside that, make sure to like and subscribe. And special thanks to my channel members for supporting me, and if you want to support me as well as gain access to additional content, then become a channel member today. Thanks again for watching, and until next time.